Do I need to say anything?
No, so this podcast is a very special podcast because Naiko was the first person who I ever did a podcast with. I'll explain how we met. I decided in my room or somewhere I was having a shit or something that I wanted to start a podcast. I then said to my family in the evening, I'm going to London tomorrow. She goes, why? I said, because I'm going to find somebody to do a podcast with. She goes, what do you mean you're going to find somebody to do a podcast with? You can't just go to London. I said, why not? Like, there's no place you go to find guests. I said, just trust me. I'm going to find somebody and we're going to do a podcast. She goes,
Yeah,
nonsense. So I went to London. I
yeah,
was walking around Leicester Square, got the feeling
yeah,
to go to Trafalgar Square, and then I came
yeah,
back to Piccadilly Circus or whatever, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden it was just about to rain, and I got this feeling to go to Leicester Square. When I went to Leicester Square, there was this really handsome guy with a beard. In fact, he had no beard, he had a
I
hat
had
on,
less beard.
and
Yeah, that's right.
and his hair looked like Harry Styles when he went on the X Factor. And 10 minutes after I met him, it pissed down with rain, and then we went into the Costa
Costa
coffee
coffee shop.
shop. And then after that, we actually sat down and had a coffee for 2 hours. And
I think it was 4 hours, bro.
it was a long time. And we arranged to
Yeah.
do my first podcast a week later. And he was the first person I did it with. It was for 3 hours. And now I'm on episode 130. And that's the law of attraction, meaning you put it
Woo!
out there and it comes back if you believe
Up
that
there.
what you want to happen is going to happen.
Exactly. It's insane, man. And I mean, the things that we were talking about in that coffee shop, ever since we just haven't stopped. We've been riding that wave. It's been pretty intense. I mean, how many podcasts are you on now?
130. You're the 131st, I think.
In how much time? How many months?
February, just before lockdown.
That's insane. So 130 podcasts. That's how many a week? Was it the same amount every week? Did you have a strict schedule or was
So when
it?
I first started to do it, I was just doing like literally three in a day because I didn't understand how it worked.
Oh,
I just was getting material, and so I was doing
yeah.
three a day. And then people said they ain't got time to listen to one. So then I realized, okay, three is a bit too much, and I just put them
Yeah.
all in one go. And then I realized
Yeah.
you could spread them out. So I have learnt, and
Yeah.
I've learnt the perfect. Well, basically, there's no such thing as perfect. You just gotta go with a feeling of what is right and what is wrong. Um, yes. So, Mr. Nike, what shall we speak about as our first topic?
What should we speak about? Well, first of all, Happy New Year. This is the second day of 2021. There's a lot we could talk about, man. I mean, I'm pretty psyched for everything that's about to come up with 2021. How was your 2020? Because I know for a lot of people, uh, I mean, everywhere in the news, the media, that it's been like labeled as one of the worst years in history. And granted, a lot of shit has gone on, but I think for me, it's been probably one of the most productive, fast growth, evolution, self-development year ever. So, how was yours?
So every time there is bad, good is about to start. Every time one door closes, another one opens, right? So
Mm-hmm.
people might say that this year was a really bad year based on
Mm-hmm.
what they consider was good and what they had before versus what they have now. If they used to go to the gym and see their friend, which is good, they can't go to
Mm-hmm.
the gym and see their friends, that's considered bad. But if you understand what would have happened if society kept going, too many people eating and drinking, depression, taking all the resources, it would have ended in a catastrophe anyway. So it's like
Yeah,
now it's a rebirth of civilization to appreciate
sure.
life and not take for granted all that we have. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a good thing for humanity because, as you know, if you just keep taking resources, there's going to be none left. But it's
Mm-hmm.
mainly what you focus on.
Mm-hmm.
You becomes your reality. If you're focusing on all the bad and all the shit that's happened and all the deaths, and life's coming to an end. But if you're just in your own world, for example, you recording music with people who you love and having good food and going on walks, then the outside world simply doesn't exist. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, we create our world based on what we focus on. And for me, I've been doing the same thing since I met you, doing podcasts
Very
in my
good,
house,
man.
going for walks, and I don't watch the news and I don't pay attention to what's going on. I know there's a virus, but when it
Mm-hmm.
clears, I'll be back in London, like
Mm-hmm.
mingling again. So it doesn't really affect my
Sure.
life in any way.
It's probably had a good effect, man, because if it wasn't for everyone being locked inside, like you said, it's a really good point you make, man, because it's too easy to get stuck up in all the bad news, but like everyone's had a chance because before the virus, everyone was like, I want time off, everyone's sick of work, or 9 to 5, everyone's just sick of their life. And then, like, blessing in disguise comes all the free time you want with your family and yourself. And what you said is so true and important. And if we want to relate it to like law of attraction and how to, how can we manifest the life that we want? Mm, and it all starts with your focus. Where is your focus? And if you were one of those people throughout this pandemic where you focused on yourself, you focused on developing, growing, you have a very good substantial project now which you focused on, then actually, man, it's probably been one of the best. Well, like I said, for me, it's been one of the best years, the most productive, based on focus.
Yeah, for me, it has been the best year because if every year is supposed to be better than the last. So that
Mm-hmm.
means that when I met you,
Mm,
it shouldn't be as good as where I am now. Otherwise, I haven't progressed. And
mm,
obviously, when I
mm,
met you the year before that, should have been worse. So as long as
mm,
each year is better, then you don't know any different than just being in that present moment, getting exactly what you want. And I've noticed that most people, or more people, are spending more time with family. They're
mm,
appreciating family more. Like, for example, they
mm.
wouldn't see the nan for months because they live 2 hours away. And then you
Yeah,
realize how many old people are dying because of, say, the virus. Now you're
yeah,
making an effort to get on that train and go see your gran because it could be the last time. And it has made people appreciate the things that really have importance rather than
sure, man.
ordering a pair of Nike shoes and they send the wrong ones and you get pissy with them and talk to the person down the phone as a human being. You fucking
Mm,
idiot. I ordered red ones, you gave me pink. What you fucking oh, I'm really sorry, sir. And it has been a wake-up call and my dog doesn't know any different. My dog has had somebody no, because when I had a dog, a puppy, she's 10 years old, right? My sister was at school and I was at college. No, I was at
mm,
my sister was at school when I was at college, so I was home most of the
mm,
time. And then my sister was working from home, and then I'd always work from home. And then, to cut a long story short, my mum started to work from home because of COVID. So for 10 years, my dog's always had somebody home. And what I'm trying to get
mm.
at is that I am grateful enough to have my family or have had them around me my whole life. I've never had a period without them. And for people who
Wow,
don't spend much time with their family, I think it is made them realize the importance of family and of what actually matters in
sure.
life. And people are slaves to jobs and corporations. And as you said, they've been given
Mm,
time off by a god. Like everyone's just
mm.
on that train in London, getting up at 6, rushing back, beat the rush hour, work, 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 work. And now
Yeah.
everyone's like, just work from home, my friend. Just get up at 9 o'clock, enjoy yourself,
Mm.
as long as you're on that laptop and everyone's happy. So everyone has literally reset themselves from this motion of slavery, of just
Yeah.
moving and human
It's been a
doings rather than
massive
human being.
pattern in a massive pattern interrupt, man. Breaking the pattern. And there's one thing that you also said, which is interesting, is that well, first you said it's a wake up call. I mean, clearly, you said it's a time of reset, a time to just clear out all the shit. And I mean, first of all, I don't know about you, how you felt when it was first proper lockdown, and then if at any point you actually left your house, maybe to go food shopping. Everything was so peaceful and tranquil. There were no cars on the road, there were no vans, nothing. Just people walking their dogs, families, kids, cyclists. And it was just so nice. You could feel like, I mean, I don't know about you. I'm very connected to Earth, because that's what we're made of. That's where we come from. And you could feel like the Earth was fucking happy to not have all of these fucking all this industry just burning red hot all the time. Fucking aeroplanes, cruise ships, the oil industry, vehicles, everything, man. And well, like there was a lot of stuff on social media about this. How, for example, in I think it's not Vienna, it's the little Italian city that's on the rivers, that's on the waters. Anyways, for the first time ever, the water turned back to its original color, and there were dolphins swimming in there, and there were like, there was natural wildlife coming back, and it's exactly the same as it happened for the planet, for us as well. It's time to just stop distracting yourself with the mundanities and the old pattern, the broken pattern, and start shifting your focus to what you want to do
Yeah, so
because
I
it's
remember
all yeah.
I remember that everything I have never truly believed in global warming because I do believe that man is having slight effects and changing things. But for example, having plastic
mm,
straws and a turtle choking in the middle of Pacific Ocean isn't
mm,
affecting, say, my potatoes going green because of the fumes where I live. So they're all connected, but it's not
mm,
directly connected. So I had reasons for and against it, right? Like if we didn't have
mm,
cameras looking at the North Pole with David and Attenborough, how would we know over millions of years that they haven't just melted and come back, melted and come back, right? But I
mm,
realized, I noticed in the morning it's blue sky, and then people go to work, and then it's cloudy. And I realized,
mm,
why does this happen? And then lockdown happened, and all of a sudden it was blue sky
mm, mm,
past that
mm.
9, 10 o'clock period where people go to work, and it was just blue
Yeah,
sky. And I was like, oh
yeah,
my God, if, for
yeah,
example, these fumes are clogging up moisture and causing them
yeah,
to stay clogged rather than sort of
yeah,
disperse and fuck off to Germany, yeah, when they get the rain, I realized that it's the fumes that are having an effect on the moisture in the air, which is then creating heat, which creates
mm,
storms and lots of rain because it's
mm,
not going up.
mm,
And so I realized,
mm,
wow,
mm.
it's not directly connected. Like everything isn't connected. You can't just say global warming to everything, every storm, every fucking turtle
Of
choking,
course.
you know, Africans having to make clothes for 50p. It's like everything's not connected to global warming, but it's basically man interfering with the laws of nature. And as you said, the
Yeah, of course.
dolphins they came back, which shows
Yeah,
that
yeah.
nature can reset itself so
Mm,
quickly, just like a virus can wipe out a
mm,
tenth of the planet if it wants to in what
mm,
3 months, literally, couldn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I was going to say something. Oh, yeah. So what's super interesting is that it's because what you say pretty much about how since people weren't able to leave their house and then the skies cleared up, like human behavior, not even talking about burning fossil fuels, but human daily behavior has an effect on the weather. And this might sound a little bit like far-fetched for those of for those people who aren't in the whole woo-woo spiritual energy kind of game or game like notion. mm, the emotions of people also have an effect on the weather, massive amount, and vice versa. It's like a vicious circle because everything is water, And have you heard of Dr. Emoto, the Japanese guy
So I was
who?
just in my thoughts saying, go there, go to the
Yeah,
link
yeah,
the meditating on the water and changing its
yeah, yeah,
crystals to the weather. And humans can control the weather, even though you think we can't. I wanted you to say that, but I was like, nope, let him speak. He'll go there, and you're
yeah,
going there, so go there.
yeah. So I can't remember his first name, Dr. Emoto. He passed away maybe 2, 3 years ago, or within the last 3 years. I can't remember. And so, for those who don't know what he did, he was the first one to concretize scientific results and measurements, which showed that water is subject to human emotion or to just emotion and energy in general, whether it's human emotion or music. What he did, he would get several jars of water, fill them up, close them, and then on each jar, he would write a different word. One would be love, one would be bliss, one would be anger, one would be, I don't know, something else. Froze them, and then he would analyze the crystallization of the molecule. And so what was found was that, and there's photos of this, this is classified information. Um, so what he found was that based on the emotion, the crystallized molecule had a different aesthetic appearance. So the ones that were subject to love or harmony or all the nice things, then it would look a lot more visually pleasing. It would look a lot more orderly. It would look a lot more beautiful, like a snowflake, for example. And I say this, we have snow on the rooftops now. And then he found the opposite for any chaotic or negative or lower vibrational frequency emotion. And so if you think about this, I mean, once you're aware of that, your perspectives of things starts to open up because you start to see that all this astrology notion, which is a science, it's a very deep science, astronomy, how people say, oh, we're not affected by the moon, or I don't feel like I'm affected by the moon, or they say that astrology is bullshit. Well, actually, if you think about it, based on this water experiment, we are what, 70% water. If the moon has the power through its gravitational pull to move whole fucking oceans, every water body on this planet, which is incomparably bigger than your tiny little human body. If the moon has able to create tides, then is it not at least a tiny little bit going to affect the water in your body? At least a little bit. And then once you think about that, you start going bigger. The planets, the sun, Jupiter, they all have a gravitational effect on us. So, that's where the whole idea of astrology comes from. It's all through water. And back to the original topic of this conversation about how we affect the weather, and the weather affects us, our energetic vibrational state, if it's like a collective consciousness, like if you go, for example, to, I don't know, if you go to, well, like UK, it's a very grey country. And I've noticed this because I've lived in different parts of the world. For those of you who don't know, listening, I'm originally French. I've had the comparison. And I do find that the weather reflects the people a lot. So now, is it the weather that affects the people, or the people affects the weather, or is it both?
So that's the thing. It's both. If you go to LA, right, you've got
Mm,
people always, hi, let's go to the beach. Hey, don't let's go.
mm,
Well, what? It's because they're always
yeah.
happy. The sun's always out, right? But then if you actually go behind the scenes of when they're by themselves in their big Los Angeles mansion, you could find that they've got all the money, but they're very
Mm,
lonely people, right? So are they actually happy or are they not happy? And then you go to somewhere like, say,
mhm,
Iceland, where it's fucking freezing, and they're all in some igloo or whatever with a little fire and some old wine and some cheese and biscuits, and they've got their friend and their family, and they're in harmony and they're singing and they're really, really happy. And outside it's minus fucking 25, like they're sat in a hot tub, middle of the Antarctic, right? And they're just so happy. So does it affect people? Yes, but it all depends on the person, right? If the person doesn't understand that in life there's good and bad, then they're going to be miserable when it's not good, right? But if somebody like these igloo people understand that it's fucking freezing, right? But
mm,
this is life, then when it's
mm.
sunny, they're probably going to be angry that it's too hot because they're fucking igloo melting, right? Fuck's sake, I just built this, now it's melted, right? Um, so yeah, it's all
Yeah.
on perception of what you think is good in the first place. But man can change the weather, and also
Mm,
the weather can change man's mood. But I've realized now that everything is literally equally 50-50. Just depends on what side you're on. Um,
mm,
like as you said, if you flip a coin 10 times,
mm,
you're going to get the same amount of heads as you are tails if you do it over 10, 20, 30, 40, 100,000 spins. It's
mm,
always going to balance up. It's not going to be like 60-40, yeah, 60 heads to 40 tails. It's going to be like 55-45, 50-50, 60, 60-45. It's never going to really have a major difference where it's going to.
mm,
And also, when I went to Naiko for the first time, he had 3 glasses of water, 3 bottles of water, and he drew some demon on one piece of paper and drew, say, the angel on another, and he said, "Taste it." And I was like, "This is bollocks." Like, I understand the principle, but I'm like,
Wait, when you went to my house, you mean?
"Hey, you have 3 bottles of water,
Oh
a nice,
yeah, there was
nice picture of
there
Marilyn
was
Monroe."
no wait, just slight disclaimer. There was no demon. There was just normal tap water, and then there was energized water.
No, no, no. You had like a beer mat or a piece of paper, and you had a nice
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, yeah. I make little coasters where like I'll find a nice photo or picture or image of sacred geometry, so the flower of life and the Metatron's cube and all these things, print them off, laminate them, and use them as coasters because the the energy of the sacred geometry has an effect on the water. Some people who are listening probably thinking these guys are nuts, man. These guys are
Anyway, so
crazy.
basically, the picture of Nike drawing, say, a nice flower and put it under, say, bottle number 1 had a
Yeah.
different taste to, say, the demon picture under bottle number 3. Because believe it or not, the vibration of
Mm,
that demon or the vibration of how Naiko is seeing that really bad person is a bad negative energy. So there's vibration going through the pen, the ink's going
mm,
negatively, that
mm,
the piece of paper is negative. His negative energy is focused on that piece of paper, so there's like an aura around that piece of paper, which means when you put water there, it's affecting the molecules of the water, which if you froze, you'd see that they were not crystallized. Whereas if he's drawn a nice picture of a butterfly, perfectly symmetrical with his wings, perfectly the same size each time. And he's really happy coloring in its wings and thinking a beautiful butterfly. What a lovely butterfly. He's happy. His energy's happy. It's flowing through his arm, through his pen, through the paper, through the bottle, through the water. And the water, Crystal, the water is now vibrating at this harmonious vibration of how Naiko feels. So if you froze that water, you'd see perfect crystals. So can a pitcher change the water molecules and therefore change the way your body and your cells are vibrating at? Can water put your body in a cancerous state, and can it take your body out of a cancerous state? And the answer is yes. And it can be done simply through the belief, because a belief is just a frequency, positive or negative, and your belief that that is a bad image versus that is a nice image of a butterfly is the difference between negative and positive charges in the universe. And as you know, the universal energies are phenomenally strong that they can pull planets. They can
Mm.
fucking pull a rock so big you can't even understand. They can make it spin, right? Earth can spin. The
Mm.
moon can pull that current. So never
Mm.
underestimate the power of water. When I see people drinking Coke, lemonade, fucking orange juice, milk, Red Bulls, and they're not even drinking water, I literally see in my mind a plant being fed Coke.
Mm.
And I imagine myself as that plant saying, "Are you fucking having a laugh? I need water, bro. What is this Coke you're giving me? I'm fucking dying." And you don't even realize. And he's shriveling up and he's like,
That's
"Please
funny, man.
give me some
Yeah.
water, God." And this guy just pouring Coke. Want some lemon? Do you want some ice? Want some vodka? I don't want fucking straw or vodka. Just give me some water. And the plant's dead. And that's when people get disease and they die. And it's too late. But you can change.
It's crazy, man. Mm, because here at work in the company I work for, we have these talking about the water. We have these water machines, these filtration like machines that actually change the molecular structure of the water in a way that because I don't know how much you know about it. Have you ever seen? There's a documentary on water, which shows that the water that comes out your tap is fucked. It's dead water, because of so many things. The piping system, the chemicals they put in there to preserve it, to keep the pipes clean. The fact that it's dead water. It's gone through the system round and round and round. And if you look at water in nature, it always has to be flowing in a smooth way. And that water is molecularly alive. It's not just, H2O. Um, and so these water machines, they bring vitality back to the water. They change the molecular structure in a way that hydrates you a lot more. Mm, and you can change the pH. I don't know how much you know about acidity and alkali, and the body has to be in a neutral state to have a strong immune system. For example, you were talking about cancer. There is no way that a cancer can survive in a high alkali body. So we have this alkaline water all the time, every day. That's all we drink, man. And you can see it has a massive effect on skin, on health, on energy, on plants. It's crazy, man. And far too often people disregard the importance of clean water, man. I know some people who don't drink water. I know some people who will have to put some flavoring, some sweetener, or when I used to work in restaurants, people will be drinking Diet Cokes all day, every day. It's insane.
So Bear Grylls did a documentary where he put himself in, say, the desert, and he had no water, and he
Mm.
pissed in a snake. So basically, he caught a snake, ate the snake, used its
I
skin,
saw that
pissed in
one.
it, and he drank it. And it was, and so from my understanding is it's not the literage of the fluid, right? You can't just drink water, piss it out, and drink it again because it's the same. It's the same literage, minus what you've sweat out, for example. So it's like, well, that's fluid. Why isn't that doing anything to me? And it's like, no, we're not drinking for the fluids. We're drinking for the
Mm.
H2O, for example, if that's the correct term.
Mm.
I'm not sure, but you get what I'm trying to say. And then you think about a fish. Fish
Mm.
don't breathe, they have gills. And it took me a while to
Yeah.
understand this. How is he getting oxygen if he's not got lungs? And then I
Mm.
understood. He's
Mm.
getting for example, the H2O that his cells need to
Mm.
grow or expire, right? So it's
Mm.
almost like when we hold our breath, we
Mm.
get this feeling to breathe, right?
Mm.
But it's not our body needs air. It's basically our
Mm.
cells telling our
Mm.
brain, I need more of that good stuff, that H2O.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
example,
yeah, yeah,
Wim
yeah.
Hof, he can make you hold your breath for 4 minutes, and I did hold my
Yeah.
breath for 4 minutes,
Yeah.
and I
I've
remember,
done it
and I
too.
and I
Crazy.
re and I remember, I'm not getting that feeling like if I was going diving in the ocean, shit, I need air,
Mm,
come back up, which
mm,
means
mm,
I've still basically taken a breath, but I'm not getting that feeling, and it was why am I not getting that feeling, and it comes down to why can't we just re-drink our own piss? It's because it's not the literage.
mm.
It's not the literage of water or fluid, liquid. It's not
No, it's
the
the quality,
amount
man.
of air. It's the quality, the
Mhm.
H2O, and we need the pure form. And in England, tap water is filtered sewage water. And I'm looking at old buildings, 30-year-old buildings, school water fountains. Schools are like, hundreds of year olds. They've probably got the same pipes from 100 years ago, and I see iron, I see copper, I see rust, and I see it going through that pipe, and I'm like, holy shit, this is why people drink, but they don't feel like they've drunk anything because they're
Yeah.
not drinking the same stuff. And when people have like a sandwich, they're still hungry, and I'm like, that is a man-made bit of grain that was created from a machine and a tractor. We're not supposed to have that. And yet you can have a Brazil nut and be full up for fucking an hour, yeah?
This guy. Yeah, I mean, it's all about. I don't know. How much do you know about Sadhguru? Do you know Sadhguru? Have you heard of Sadhguru?
Is that a Chinese restaurant in London? Chinese restaurant in London,
No,
top of the charts.
no, no. Come on, bro. Sadhguru, you need to check him out, man.
I
Sadhguru,
have heard of him. I've heard of him.
okay. So he talks about, so I've read his book called Inner Engineering, and he talks about a very simple concept. You know, this body, he calls it our food body, our earth body, because it's literally made of what we eat and what we drink, and the quality of, just like the quality of water that you put into the filtering machine, that's going to be the quality of the water you get out. If you put shit water in, you're going to get shit water out. And it's the same with your body. And yeah, I think we're just not educated enough, man. There's not enough emphasis on that awareness in school. It's the systems. Yeah, it's just like many other things. I'm very fortunate that throughout my life I grew up in a very nutrition aware family, man. Always prioritize good quality food, quality meal times. Mm. And I'm grateful for it because I grew up in that environment, I have a really strong immune system and I have energy. I've got, my brain works, how to say, I can think clearly. I can take action, and a lot of that foundational work is put down when you're a kid. You're constructing your body. So, and people have that unawareness all the way throughout their life, and then they wonder why. They wonder why do they feel like this? Why is there cancer in the world, or why is there disease? Our most natural state as a human being is health. It shouldn't be. I mean, depending on your situation, if that needs to become your focus, then it should be your focus. But it should, our natural state, standard factory default should be very healthy.
As you know,
Like that's what Wim Hof says. You should be what? Strong, healthy, and happy.
cancer is a man-made disease. Nothing in nature is at disease. It is at ease, and a body at ease cannot be a disease. And as you said,
Yeah.
if your body is alkali, it is impossible
Mm,
under a scientific scope for disease to
mm,
live in a body in alkali, which is why, when people drink like acidic foods and cokes and heat cheese up and have pizza and KFC, can't get any more, can't that's so acidic that that's why I
mm,
get stomach reflex and acid reflex,
mm,
right? Or reflux, whatever.
mm,
And
mm,
growing up, my parents used to always have. I've had vegetables on my plate, 5 days out of the week, apart from a
mm,
takeaway on a Friday. And I used to hate the vegetables. It was always like a fish or a chicken dish, and then vegetables, right? I used to
mm,
hate it, and I just wanted to say Chinese, right? And looking back, it was the correct thing to do. And she's like, you'll realize in the future when you get old and have kids, blah, blah, blah. I'm not having kids, but I get the
mm.
point. Yeah. That when you look back and you realize that all of this is creating a foundation for a plant
Yeah,
to
yeah.
blossom. And if you put a plant in a ground where there's oil, it's not going to grow. You put it in the ground where it's got nice fresh water, pure
Yeah,
soil,
yeah.
it's going to grow and blossom. And even if people are aware of this, it is still very hard to change because their body is essentially it's like programmed in Russian and they're trying to learn English. You're not going to be as fluent as you are in Russian, and you can always learn English halfway through your life, but you're still going to have a slight accent. It's never going
Mm,
to be a pure form of what you
mm,
should have had in the first place. Whereas if you were born in Russia, you'd
mm,
speak Russian purely. Like you're a French person, but you definitely don't sound French, right? And you say that you left France at a young enough age that
mm.
you've lost your accent. But when
Yeah.
people make change, it is like leaving France when you're 18 and you don't speak English, learning English, fucking hell, it takes a few years to learn the English language. Then your accent has to mold to English surroundings, which could take another few years before you know you're 50 years old and you've still got like a French English accent. So it's hard to really change, I suppose, the cells in your body when it's been built on the wrong substance.
Mm, hmm.
Um,
For
yeah.
sure, man. For sure. Mm, I mean, there's one thing that, how to say, there's one thing that we look at in a lot of the, I guess, self-development or spiritual practices that I do, and it's that, and people disregard that our body is our only fucking tool, man. It's the only one we have, you know, and we're in control of it, and it should literally, it's a machine. It's a machine that has, again, Sadhguru talked about this through inner engineering. It's the most complex machine ever built by nature that we're aware of so far. And we come with an instruction manual, but no one has that. No one knows that. Well, it is known and recorded in sacred knowledge and spiritual knowledge. And I think if people had the awareness, again, it all comes down to awareness, man. If people had the awareness, if they had the rule book, I guess the instruction manual of what to do to be, because essentially what everyone wants is the same thing. Everyone wants full health, everyone wants happiness, everyone wants bliss, everyone wants flow, you know? Mm, so, if only in school they, again, it's down to the system of passing on information, which right now, is the most efficient or most established way is school. Mm, if only school had at least a little bit more focus on how to conduct yourself with your body, how to feed yourself, how to breathe properly, how to sleep properly, how to eat properly, how to stand and walk and talk, you know, in a way that you're not, how to say, you have to prioritize your body. It's your vessel, it's your tool. So that's one thing that
So
I've become very aware of.
so I see it seems that I
Mm,
am only person who thinks like what I'm about to say and knows this, right? Because everyone says the same thing, even Ty Lopez, even people at the top of their game, like Brian Lipston, whatever he's called, right? These
mm,
people all say the same thing. The school
mm,
system doesn't teach this and should teach this. And
mm,
I every time I hear somebody say that, I hear this. The school system is not
mm,
about humanity. It's not about helping people. It's about
mm.
getting people ready to work for the
Yeah, 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 for
establishment.
sure,
What
for
is the
sure.
establishment? It's companies, people
Mm,
who don't want to
corporate.
do the job themselves, so they train the people through science, English, maths, whatever. And so when they go to uni, they are qualified to get a job for the establishment, because the other alternative is working for yourself, right, and having your own business. And so it's never ever ever gonna change. Just like when people rely on government to change stuff, they're not doing it for you. Their job, people are the product, right? But just because there's a demand doesn't mean you've now got a supply. If people want chicken, give them a Nando's, right? If people in the Nando's want pork, you can choose to give them pulled pork, or you can stick to your niche of chicken, right? So
Mm,
governments aren't gonna suddenly change and save you and do all this shit because they're
of
going
course.
to work, they're doing their job, and then they go home. And you're just a policy, you're just the product. So people cannot wait for government to change. Just like you can't wait for Jesus to come back next year because he's supposed to come back every year. He's not come back. Is he going to come back Who knows? But based on his 2,000 years to come, you could say stereotypically, if you've got an ex-girlfriend and you keep messaging her after 50 years, if she's not replied to you, she's probably not interested. She's died or she's married with kids. So it becomes a point where you have to realize, fucking hell, no one's helping me. I'm here by myself. Jesus ain't coming back. Government don't give a shit. Okay, what am I going to do? The answer is get on and do it yourself. And then, you take
Sure.
you take back all the layers of, okay, well, what am I expecting from other people? And it all
Yeah.
comes down to, money, sex, some form of survival, leisure, entertainment, something that makes you feel good, ice rink, snooker table. And then you realize that's somebody else's idea. That's somebody else's vision, what they had a passion for. That requires money. Okay, I need money to pay for the pool. Well, I ain't got any money. Okay, so I get a job. And then you got to get a job. You got to fucking work 5 days of the week for that money because nobody wants you to work one day. So then you realize, fuck, I'm fucked. I'm fucked whichever direction I go in. And then you come back a step further and you realize it's just peaceful being a monk in the middle of the woods, just watching a squirrel run up a tree. And if you've got your cabin, which you built
Yeah.
out of wood, and there's no bills to pay because the sun's your light and you cook from a match, yeah, you don't need money because money's supposed to pay for things that require cash as the form of currency, as a form of trade. And if you
Mm.
build it all yourself, you don't need to trade shit. And you certainly don't need Nike shoes if you're walking on sand.
So
Spread those
funny.
toes out, feel the sand in those toes.
Connect to the earth energies.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of comedians they always go on stage without shoes on, and
Yeah.
they say, "Why you weren't not wearing shoes for?" And they're like, "I feel grounded. I feel connected." They're fucking weird. I just hear your jokes, mate.
It's funny because I go barefoot on stage too a lot, depending on what I do. But yeah, it goes back to this whole thing about 2020, how it's really an opportunity for you to focus in and on yourself and there's how to say um humans are, especially new generations, such fast learners, man, and the whole schooling system about what you said is so true, man. It was based on an age where people needed to be trained up to get into the industry, whatever it was. It was usually engineering or mechanics or doctors or
Coal, fossil
lawyers or
fuels.
police or yeah, all that stuff. It was the industrial age. And so, I mean, it's everything's changed so quickly, so much, and now we don't rely on school for information. We know that the information that's given is either false or not complete or inaccurate. And also, a lot of it is fucking useless unless you want to continue on. What's the word? You want to
Working
continue
for the
that side.
establishment.
Like, it's a learning extensive maths, or unless you want to. I don't want to sound like this guy who hates school in general, because we need, of course, like this world needs fucking maths geeks and science geeks and physicians and doctors, and there are some professions in which schooling is the most efficient way. But the people that follow that life is such a tiny percentage, man. I mean, what percentage of the demographics are those high spec, highly trained people who still use, I guess what I'm saying is I was learning shit in year six when I was 12, fucking every single day, complex math stuff, which I haven't used anything other than my calculator since I've left college or since I've left uni. And there's just so many more efficient ways to spend your time and your energy and your focus, and much more complete and holistic ways to learn. It's just crazy, man. Mm, one thing, because I used to work in schools as like a teaching assistant and different jobs in schools. And you realize that what they're teaching is in school is what you would learn anyways in the real world, except you're learning from a book or a screen. Does that make sense? Like I remember I was in year two. I was in year two. I was working in a year two class, and they were learning about the seasons. They were learning about nature, about leaves and trees, and it's like it's fucking out there. Just go walk around, man. Take a look. You don't need to buy books and you don't need a teacher to learn shit she doesn't care about. Like, this should be global knowledge. Just fucking walk around. Things like there's just, things like rough. What is a rough surface? I remember this basic knowledge. I remember learning this. What is rough? What is smooth? What is sharp? What is spiky? What is tall? What is man-made? What is natural? You know? Don't sit around in a fucking class 6 hours a day, 5 days a week for 18 years of your life to learn shit you would just learn by being a human being on planet Earth.
Yeah, so I have I've seen this. I realized that the uni life isn't just about getting a job. It's about that social environment of
Yeah.
with your friends and feeling connected. The same as people drink because not because they like alcohol, and if they smoke, not because they like smoking. It's about feeling connected. Somebody else has something, you all feel you're doing the same thing, and you do it. And it could be drugs, alcohol, smoking. It
Yeah.
could be talking about porn. It could be anything, right? It's that common connection in a social environment, and I find that a lot of people they just go into uni because everyone's going to uni. They go to uni,
Yeah.
right?
The
And
social aspect is incredible, to be honest.
and for example, a doctor's degree, it takes
Yeah.
7 years to get. Or if you do your first degree and then do a master's, that's another 4 years. So you're 28 before you actually get out of the real world. You're basically still a student in year seven in that social, in terms of going to class with people,
Hmm.
going to get your sandwich. And then 28, you go into the real world, no friends, colleagues you've never really don't really know, never really met. You've got this degree, you're now spending 5 days of the week working, getting back at 6, and then you've got the weekend to do stuff to the point you're so tired that you just want to do fuck all. Right? I've
Hmm.
seen that pattern and it's scary because it's the connection that it says people are seeking, not the degree, not the job, because how many people actually spend their whole life in one career in the first place? Like it's just crazy going to study, say, sports degree, right? And then you just end up being a plumber or working in a coffee shop or becoming somebody sells clothes on eBay. It's just crazy to think that one
Mm,
person can do one thing forever. Again, it's part of the system. People don't know at that age, understand the
mm,
system. I've always been aware at that age, like, do I really need this fucking algebra when I'm older? And then I
mm,
realized that it's all about getting to the next step. SATs
mm,
to GCSE, GCSEs to A level to college, college to uni, uni to credit card to credit score to mortgage, mortgage to fucked forever. Because now you're a slave to corporation to pay off that house, right?
mm.
That you didn't actually need because you could have just had a box, right? Because half the house is full of shit in the garage, shit in the loft, right? You got a spare room to put shit in, right? You know what I mean? It's just unnecessary space, and each space is cost you about 100 grand. And so now you're trapped forever. And should you not pay your bills, well, you lose it all and you start all over again. The government scoop that and say, thank you very much. I've just auctioned that for half the price you paid for it. Cheers, bruv. Who's next? And it's just a
Yeah,
fucking nonsense system.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Um, yeah, it's interesting because there's two sides to this. There's one side of me mm, saying, okay, I'll rewind. There's three levels of like awareness and consciousness and I guess how you perceive things. First is just unaware, average, couch potato, uh, media binging person, right? Which is probably like what, 60 to 75% of the population. And I say this, I haven't done my research, by the way. These are very bold numbers. So that's level one consciousness. Level two is starting to awaken when you start to become more aware of health and, the foods you eat, the water you drink, the media you consume, the songs, your life pattern, your life style, physical well-being, spiritual. Those people that finally think, "Ah, I'm awakened." And at that level, you become the preacher. It's like, oh my God. And I've been that one for sure. Like, oh, have you not tried meditation? I've learned about meditation. It's amazing. It's been amazing for you. You should do it. Have you learned about spirituality? You should, you become the preacher and you don't understand why people don't understand you and you try to force it upon them. That's level two. Level three is past that point where you understand that everyone's at their own path on their journey, different. parts of the path compared to you, and that it's no good being a preacher. Just go and live your life your way. So the reason I say these three levels, the reason I say this is because there's one part of me going out there and saying, "Oh, schooling's bad and the system's failed us and blah 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 blah." But there's the other side, which is like, you know, we need the system to be like that for now as it is, you know. Imagine if everyone was awakened and the world was just a bunch of meditating people, you know. We need the system to run like this, you know. It has to be like that to sustain the evolution of mankind,
Yeah, and
which
so that
is
bring
gone.
yeah, and that brings me back to the point of if the majority of water we're drinking is not actually doing its job, right, in terms
Mm,
of getting the pure H2O out of it, right?
mm,
You could say that, as you said, you need the system for the
mm,
stability of general mankind, right? Humanity. Because think of how many people would die if they didn't have tap water. So it's not bottled water from the mountains of Wales, yeah, or the
mm,
Himalaya mountains.
mm,
But how many people now survive who would have died without having any water, full stop? So as you say, you realize as a conscious person that we were part of the system and it failed us individually, so we hate the system. But as we've learnt, we
mm,
understand the system and how it's
mm,
there for the whole of humanity, basically. So you can't hate it, even though you are from it and you get what it's about.
mm,
Because as you
mm.
said, people would die without water, but we know that just drinking tap water with iron and fossil crap in isn't good for us. So again, it's true. You can't hate the game when you're using the game to your advantage, and then that comes down to just I
Mm.
find it always comes down to just live your life for you and look after other people. Because as you said, you start teaching people, you want to help people, they're not listening, then you become
Yeah.
like annoyed and think fuck them, and and then you realize,
Yeah.
no, I am the blessed one who has
Yeah.
this level of awareness. I am the blessed one
Yeah.
already. Just by knowing this, and they do not, I win. I win. And that is it. Surrender and let go to everything else because you win the fact that you know this. And
Yeah.
that is when you become a Jesus, a monk, a Buddha, a Gandhi, a God, because you're
Mhm.
all knowing and you
Yeah.
see everything. And then you
Mhm.
start to have peace and understanding with the world. And just, I'm grateful of life. And then you imagine you're a rock in space looking down at the rock, and we're just a rock, and everyone's problems are just non-existent. They're in their head. And then you
Yeah.
realize, well, no one's got any water and food. There's so much water. I'm looking down from fucking space, and all I can see is water. Yeah. So they're
Yeah.
like, what is Africans doing starving? Like, there's water all over the place. Why can't they walk, and go to that ocean? And then it's like, well, because they can't have salt, because salt dehydrates the body. They've not got a car because they haven't evolved the same as America has. So the UN has to come down with a helicopter, and then there's too many people to carry them because if the helicopter's too heavy, it's gonna fucking crash, and there's our disaster. And you realize, okay, it's not as simple as it is, and then you
Yeah.
understand. So why could you fucking walk inland, mate? There's plenty of water, rather than waiting for this tap to be built, which you don't know how was created because somebody just built it. And then you say, give a man a fish, fish forever. Give a man a fish, he eats for today. Teach him how to fish, he
Whoa.
eats for forever. It's like, well, no one taught him how to use the tap. They just put a tap in, then he fucked off back to America. It's like, what happens when the tap doesn't work? What if if they lose the nut or it gets rusty and they need a screwdriver? Well, no one's got a screwdriver in the middle of the desert. So then it's like, it's very complicated.
I got lost like towards the end, man. When you, how did you get onto tap with screwdriver? What was the?
Basically, what I'm trying to say to you is that if you just keep doing everything for everyone, then they won't know where you came from to get that. So if you just
Mm,
put a tap in the middle of, say, Africa in the desert,
mm,
that requires a bolt. And it's like, well,
mm,
where's the nearest shop for another bolt? I need a screwdriver. A bucket's got a hole in. Okay, where do I get a bucket from? Can't wait 3 months for America to drop down a basket of, supplies because that helicopter requires fuel. Who pays for the fuel? Taxpayers. So there's got to be enough people working to pay for the tax money. And it's like, what if there's a coronavirus and no one's working? Well, everyone's fucked, which is true. So basically, it's just the awareness of everything is connected and has evolved from the last thing.
yeah.
And you can't just bring everyone up to the same level of awareness, at
Sure.
once. Can't just
Sure.
vaccine the whole world because everyone wants everyone to live because it's not how it works. You know what I mean? It's too
That's
many
not how
people.
nature works. Yeah, for sure. There's one thing that you, which you said, which just, I guess, caught my attention. You said, imagine that you're a rock in space looking down at that rock and then we're living on it. Isn't it crazy to think that, you know, if you look at Earth, if you go around, walk around, see mountains and you see rivers and just nature,
Just a rock.
a lot of people see it just as just a rock. But hang on a second. We literally come from that rock. We are a product of, and it maintains us. Isn't it insane? And a lot of people will probably, hearing this are thinking, obviously, like it's simple, but it's one of those simple realities that make you think, hang on, there must be, because when we think about life, a human will compare, what is life? They'll think of themselves first. They'll think, okay, I am either alive or I am dead. I am alive. So they uh, associate life with human activity. But, and a lot of people will not have awareness that water is alive, that there is living things in everything. Some people even don't consider trees in the plant world as a valuable living world. Some people don't even realize that the earth is a living thing. It breathes. It's the whole complexity of it. And it's insane that because we have the natural world and the human world, the man world, and we separate it for some reason. At some point, it gets separated. We say it's man-made, but whatever is man-made is earth-made. So is it man-made? If you go down to like plastics, we say fossil fuel. This is from Earth. It's not like, someone's delivered us a bottle from space. It's insane. It's insane when you make that connection. And everything you do, everything you touch, everything you drink, everything you are constantly in contact of has that earth vibration. I've got an iMac behind this, you can't see. That's made from earth. If you were to put it out in a field and put it there and compare it to surrounding trees and grass, you think, oh, it's technology. Where does technology come from?
Yeah, it comes from man, but all those metals come from
The components, the liquids,
rocks or whatever.
everything. Man, it's
The glass
insane.
comes from sand, heated sand.
It's insane.
So if somebody is like passed out, right, first thing the medics will do is they will shine a light in their eye. Why?
Mm, mm,
Because it will respond. So that
mm,
eye is responding, which means that body is not dead. It is alive. If you give a plant light, it will
mm,
start to grow,
mm,
right?
mm,
So when people think a plant is just not alive because it's not moving,
mm.
it's wrong. Because if you give it a light, it grows. Just like if you put light in your eye, it moves
Your
backwards
response.
and forwards.
Yeah. It's quite funny. I saw this video about this person who attached, I guess it was some form of audio sensor. It was able to read the electromagnetic vibration of the plant and the output was a sound output. It was audio, and you could actually hear the sound
Yeah,
of the plant. I don't know if you've seen these
yeah.
videos. It's insane, to think that there's this whole vibrational frequency which is out there, which we can't hear it, we can't pick it up because our ears aren't finely tuned for that. And if you were to recently again, I saw like a time lapse of plant indoors, no wind, moving throughout the day, and it's it's insane. It's just about perspective,
So
it really,
you
yeah,
you might know this or not. You probably do.
yeah,
All vibration
yeah,
comes from light. Sound is not separate to light. Sound is from light. For example, light is fire. Fire is sound, right? So everything comes from light. There's no such thing as sound and light. So as you said, if you speak, we are transferring our voices through sound, right?
mm,
But we are only seeing all this through hang on, I'm gonna get it straight. You said if you put your say your measurement to a tree,
mm,
it responds, you can hear it vibrating, right? But
mm,
that tree is only vibrating because of the sun charging it, right?
mm,
Which is light. So
mm,
sound comes from light. Just
mm,
like if you have a thunder, we hear thunder and lightning like it's two different things. No, it's the lightning from heat and the sound is a result of the light being so, I don't know, loud. So it's all one. And if you put it all back, if you look at the universe, it's all light. And if there was no light, then it's just darkness. So there's no such thing as sound. It is just light, which is vibrating quick enough that we hear it as sound. So that's very powerful. What came to my mind when you said that, because everything has a sound vibration which comes from a light vibration, and it's not that they're different. It's vibrating so quickly in terms of the light that we can hear it as sound. And years ago, we have the cups and the string. I tried to do it with my neighbor and it didn't work. That's because I could still hear them because they were only fucking a meter away. But then I got the concept of it, because if you speak, it's vibrating through the cup, through the string. You put it to your ear, like when they say put a shell from the ocean to your ear, you can hear the waves. I thought, fuck off, that's nonsense. But looking at that now, if that shell has been in that ocean for years, it's completely charged of that vibration of the waves, right? That if you put it to your ear, for all you know, a rock can absorb sound far more than, say, a pillow or a sponge or whatever. That if you put that shell to your ear, if it's vibrating from the vibrations in the sea, that you hear that sound and say, it's like if I listen to you on the phone, I recognize that sound as Naiko. I listen to the sound of that shell, I can hear the ocean going. Or it could be, hello Oliver, I'm Naiko. Hello Oliver, I'm Naiko. Oh my god, that's Naiko. It's like, Father Christmas, is that you? Oh, 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 oh my god, it's coming down the chimney, it's Father Christmas. But if somebody was going ha ha ha, I think a burglar's just run up and nicked my mum's jewelry, because he's laughing. So now that difference between ha 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 and ho 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 is different. So maybe you can hear ocean sounds through a shell. And that's, yeah, it just came to my head. So
Your
yeah.
mind is very interesting, man. You have like a fractal mind. Like
So,
one thing will trigger something, which will trigger something.
so
It's
sound
very,
is just a light vibration vibrating really quickly, and we hear it as a sound when really it's just the sun. It all comes down to the sun, as you know.
and then what about after the sun?
So I've been thinking about this recently. The sun has got so much heat that when, say, the middle cools, or the top of the sun cools, that there's so much heat in the middle that it heats up again. It's almost like if you have a barbecue outside, right, and it suddenly drops to cold temperature, it will sort of just go out and it'll get cold. But if you've got the sun blaring all day, then the temperature of that coal is going to be consistently, let's just say 20 degrees. So you can cook a burger. It might not cook as quick because it's sort of, burnt down, but it's still containing a consistent temperature. So I thought, wow, they say the sun is, 50 times bigger than the earth or whatever. So I'm thinking, wow, if the top cools and the middle cools and the heat rises, there's so much of it that it heats up again to the point where it just won't ever burn out. You know what I mean? Because the rock is just like splattered out sun, which has just cooled and become a rock, molten lava. But it's just the sun's never going to burn out unless somehow there's a rainstorm that, even if you put rain on the sun, it'll be
It's
so
still
hot.
burning.
Like if you have a forest fire, like Australian fires, right? They put it out with water,
Mm.
yeah, and it just keeps burning because it's just too much heat. That's a fine example of the sun. Man can use its fire extinguishers in the forest, but it's so hot from the core that it just keeps burning, and that's why the sun never burns out. And I've
But
just realized that.
you do know that the sun does have an age and a star can die because it is a
Oh yeah,
star.
but like a star meaning just a small star in the sky versus the
And
sun.
no, the sun is a star. The sun is a star, and the reason it seems so big is because it's so close to us. Actually, there's some suns which are so much bigger than our sun. I don't know if you've seen that video on YouTube where you see the Earth and then you see the sun, and
I
then
have
there's
actually
like
recently seen
super
that.
suns and hyper stars. It's insane. The size is inconceivable. Mm, but I mean, it's just so far from our own experience of time because man, we're here living a what like a, if you're lucky, 100 year spanning life for, I mean, time scale that is billions of years. It's insane. We think that we've got it all together. We think that we own this planet, but we're a tiny smidgen of a nanoparticle dot on the time scale of existence on Earth.
We're no
It's
different to a
ins
pigeon.
Sorry?
We're no different to a pigeon.
They've been around here a lot longer,
Yeah,
probably.
we're no different to a pigeon, just doing our bit. And virus can wipe out a pigeon as it can a human. Right, let's end that there so we can have more to talk about next time. Anything you want to promote right now?
Anything I want to promote? Well, yeah, for sure. First of all, my YouTube channel. I've just started my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, I am a singer, songwriter, producer.
And a
You can
porn
find
star?
me and a porn star. No, not yet.
Not yet. When the money runs out, okay.
That's it. When needs become must, you know. And so yeah, so I do acoustic covers of pop songs, of classics, and I'm going to be releasing my music this year. Uh, End of January, I'll be releasing my original music. So find me on YouTube, Naked Naiko, Naked without the E. Naked Naiko. You can also find me on Instagram, Naked Naiko, Facebook, Naked Naiko, and we shall be in touch there. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe.
Is it naked because you sing without clothes on, or
No, so Naked Naiko was a name that started off as a joke between me and Master Shrikashna, who's the founder of the company I work for. I was speaking on stage, and then he just started making jokes about Naked Naiko. I don't know, it just came out of nowhere, and then he kept on talking about it. And then I started realizing that this is actually a good branding because um when you're setting up your social media, you want to have something that no one else has taken. So I wanted Naiko. Naiko's taken. I tried Naiko Music. Naiko Music is taken. Naiko Music Official, too long. Sucks. Naiko underscore music, Naiko dot music, Naiko dash music, Naiko slash music. All of these things didn't work. So I was thinking, you know what? Let's see if Naked Naiko is taken. Naked without the E. And it worked. And I've got the domain, and I've got all the social media handles. And also, when people hear the word naked, I mean,
turns them on? They want to go see what this is about. Naked
people,
Nike. What is that?
right? People are curious, and when
Am
they
I
see that
curious?
I'm not actually naked, you know, then it's okay because, you know, it's funny because people want to see naked people, or people have this what's the word oppression, I still don't know the difference between oppression and repression. This oppressed need to experience sexuality because as humans we aren't given, there's a taboo around sex. That's why it's always in the forefront of humanity. That's the reason people go out into clubs, is because they want to experience sex. And people have this, they'll hear naked, they'll be like, oh, they'll either be embarrassed or open, or shy about it. But everyone wants to see nudity. Everyone wants to see something to do with sexuality. And then when they actually do see it, that person will be judged, or they'll be like, oh, they're just selling themselves, or oh, And many times I thought, should I actually do my YouTube channel topless? And then I thought, well, no, because
It would have sold though.
it would have sold. It would have got me the subscribers and the following, but it wouldn't be for what it would be for the fact that this dude playing guitar in his home studio topless. Some people might find it offensive and they'll share it. Some people might feel attracted to it and they'll share it. Some people might find it funny and they'll share it. So it'll be attention for the wrong reasons.
Right, let's stop that there. Right,
Yeah.
so hang on, right there.